Ever since 2021, Mattel has barely released any Cars 3 veteran stock car racers. Instead, they have turned their attention completely to Cars 1 and their veteran stock car racers, which is all fine and well, but after several years, fans, including myself, have been wanting to just sprinkle in some of the Cars 3 racers for the sake of variety. And while our prayers have somewhat been answered this year by the re-release of Speedy Comet for Blinkr, his first release since 2021, it raises the question, is Mattel only willing to release Cars 3 veteran stock cars whose sponsor is not in Cars 1? Of course, Blinkr was a brand new sponsor for Cars 3, so there is no Cars 1 Blinkr racer to compare, to cannibalize upon the other. Like, do they view like Dud Throttleman as just an irrelevant release because people are totally fine with Chuck Armstrong? I think that's a very flawed theory, but I feel like we have to talk about it at least. Now, if they did Jimmy Cables, that would support my theory, but they're not. They're not doing Bobby Road Testa or Lane Lock, two of the rarest racers of all time, with new sponsors for Cars 3 that, could be released and yet not contradict something from the first movie. Now, as for next gens, nothing has really wavered. The outputs always remain the same for the most part because they look so different from the original Cars 1 racers. But the stock cars, I understand Dud Throttleman and Chuck Armstrong look similar. Phil Tankson and Aiken Axler look similar. I just don't understand, you could alternate, right? Aiken in 2022, Phil in 2024, and then just kind of go on a cycle. I don't know. That's just something to think about, but today we want to focus on this brand new release, 2026 Speedy Comet. Like I said, his first release since a 2-pack with Parker Breakston, another stock car from the third movie who hasn't seen the light of day in a while. That was 2021. That 2-pack also was released in 2020. He also got a single release in 2019, which was a Thailand variant along with all the 2-packs. He got a Vietnam release in a 2020 11-pack. And his first and only ever Chinese release was back in 2018 in a launcher. So we're going to talk about all that as we go through the video. But I do want to say I love his artwork. Just looks great. It's a great smile. Wish they were able to convey that to the diecast, but alas. Now, there are 2 of him in the first case of 2026 singles, case A, so should not be hard to find. He is going to be in more cases. And same thing here with Chris Roman. Coming into this year, people thought these are going to be very coveted. Not really. Chris Roman's peg warming. Well, he was. And then Target just decided to nuke all of their stores. 99% of Targets right now across the United States have no single stock. For real. They managed to get rid of all the peg warmers, but, in doing so now they have nothing. I don't know, it's weird, guys. I want to talk about this at some point. Cases C and D are in major trouble. Something's weird with them, but we'll talk about that at some other point. But yeah, these 2 are not going to be hard to find as the year progresses. They are both in Cars 3. Good job, Mattel. Congrats on getting that right, and congrats to me for about to enjoy opening a car. I have not. I guess I opened Dale the other day, but I love unboxing cars, so let's get after it. All right, while I try to scrounge up some images from Cars 3 to show you where Speedy appears, because there aren't many, just a background racer who doesn't speak, I did want to touch on this case C and D situation. So I think I mentioned in a previous video, they aren't being really sold directly from Mattel. I know, it doesn't really make sense to me either. They are sold from the factories, whatever that means, but there's a difference. What we need to understand is there is a difference between how cases C and D are being sold than A and B in all the cases pretty much in 2025. I don't think that's a coincidence then that we haven't seen cases C or D show up at Target. And while Target had been consistently nailing cases seemingly dating back to 2024, they nailed pretty much every case of 2025. I think case T was maybe the least distributed one, but other than that, man, they were phenomenal. Case T and X, I think Target barely got in, but everything else was great. Case A, perfect. Case B, great. And then just this massive fall off pretty much coinciding with Christmas. Great job, by the way. right in time for the holidays, you have no stock, and then now after the holidays, it's really bad, haven't restocked. I'm just curious, when will they ever get more singles cases in? Will they jump right to case E? I would not be surprised if that's the case. And that is why we're seeing Walmart getting cases C and D, because those are the half cases. How the half cases is a completely different story. We know Target does not get in half cases, but I think this also has to do, Australia, nothing in terms of cases C or D. I don't even think they've gone B. The UK, not great. I mean, cases C and D in terms of the full counts, only in like Hong Kong and places in Asia. It's nuts. It's actually crazy. What also not ideal is that some of the cars in those cases are not in the half cases that are appearing at Walmart, like Mike 07. Now, I have said that there are pretty much no cars that are only in one case this year. I think Race and Rescue Kathy Copter might be one of them, but I think she is in the half case. So we should be fine. Like in theory, we should be okay, but there might end up at the end of the year like one or two singles that kind of got caught in this void of not being in the half case and their full case not being distributed very well. Think back to like Dana Crank Off or like the 2022 Kabuto or Yellow Hydraulic Ramon. I think those are good examples of it. Anyways, now let's focus on Mr. Speedy Comet here. Now, I do not have the Thailand variant of him loose, but it looks very similar to this new Chinese variant that we will be comparing the old Chinese variant to today. Now, right off the bat, it seems like the model's smaller. Like he looks shorter and just smaller overall. The hood is not as defined. You could see like where the raised portion is in the center. I mean, it's still there, but definitely not as noticeable. His eyes are a lot more noticeable, and they're also blue now, so that's a little strange. He always had brown eyes. Now he's got blue eyes and a black outline around the eyelids, which I'm fine with. I actually like that. And the blue actually looks good with all of the Blinkr merchandising, or branding, I should say here. 21 under that right headlight, which is now a lot more defined. Before, I mean, it was kind of hidden all the way on the side. Looks like the font is completely different. It feels like it's a black outline now instead of the blue outline. Very strange there. The vents here on the side with the stars also kind of rearranged a little bit, but I don't think that's that big of a deal. You have the Blinkr logo here on the hood, connecting engine to engine. So some sort of maybe dating app. We always thought Intersection's the dating app, which, yeah, most likely. But why can't Blinkr be a dating app? Maybe it's more like LinkedIn, connecting professionals in the workplace. Either way, the logo got a little blurrier, a little darker. I also feel like it doesn't have the black outline that the blue portion did on the original Chinese version. Overall, these new Chinese variants have not been great, if we're being honest. But it's not like they're really necessarily worse than the Chinese ones. Some are better, some are worse. Pretty much averages out, in my opinion. Here are the contingency sponsors: Piston Cup, Violin, Revolting, RPM, Nitro 8, Octane, Gain, and Clutch 8. They look fine. Definitely not as clear or bright or vibrant as the original, but I've seen worse. As for these wheels, I mean, the same story applies. Not as bright and vibrant, but at least they look pretty well painted. There isn't that sandpaper-esque texture. But yeah, the blue and the orange trims, not as great. You have this little black arrow still to indicate to the pit crew where to lift them up at to change out those tires. And this is where we hit the two-tone, transitioning over to his blue, which used to be a little bit more of a sky blue. It's a little bit of a darker, more concentrated blue now. The gas cap went from very nice and silver back here to a little bulgy with the black outline. The orange is darker. The coloring is just crazily different. And even like the alignment of some of these decals, just look at some of this. This is way, I don't know, maybe that one's a little more similar, but looks like the 21 shrunk on the roof here. Man, there are so many just little tiny differences that I guess really don't matter, but there are a lot of them. Wow. Look at this Blinkr logo. Look at that Blinkr logo. This one for wheel has got like all these dots in it, which doesn't look great. So I don't know. I might prefer this one actually, even though it's a little blurrier and smaller. Connecting engine to engine. Similar issues here on the back. Now this one seems to have a bunch of dots in it. And the original Chinese version's more of a smooth, solid orange. 21 also doesn't have as big of a darker blue outline. And the camera is more gray than it is black. But the connecting engine to engine text on the back of the spoiler looks good. Now, since this guy is a 2018 release, he was an early 2018 release, I'm going to try and guess his date stamp. I bet it's got to be, he had to have been produced in 2017. So I'm going to guess let's go 3077. Way off. Okay, the 71st day of 2018. All right, so still early 2018, but not as early as I thought. Darn. Let's see when this guy was made. On the 196th day of 2025. So he was made quite a while ago. Again, this guy, along with Case A for 2026, came out in like October. Some places even September. So, yeah, I mean, they have been out and about for a while, and that's why this drought has been a little depressing for me because it's been so hard to find content to review. I mean, I've done it, Lego McQueen, Dale, those things helped a lot. But, that is why, here we are in January reviewing Speedy Comet when I would have hoped to be reviewing something new, like a KC unboxing, which is not looking like it's possible. I'm going to try and get it from Entertainment Earth maybe, but GetMeCollecitlbes is not going to be able to get those in for the same reason that, maybe Target's not going to be able to get those in, or anybody in the U.S. get in the full 24 count case. Maybe some weird store like Meijer or Fred Meyer, H-E-B could. But I was at Meijer today and they finally restocked the singles. I'm like, yes! They got in case A long ago. Like, I hope this is at least B, maybe C if I'm lucky. Nope, it's A. Still A. This is your XRS Mud Racer Speedy Comet, by the way. And then here's your Thailand variant of Ryan inside Laney. So they still release, Ryan a lot with Speedy out and about. So they're not worried about next gens and stock cars cannibalizing each other, but they definitely seem worried about Cars 1 and Cars 3 veterans cannibalizing each other when, as long as you don't release them in the same year, or you could even spread them out more than that, I don't think you have a problem with it. You already have the models made. They're simple repaints. I don't understand the issue. This was a cool launcher, by the way. It was our first ever release of, not only him, but Brian Spark came out first in this launcher style, and the Cars 3 Floyd Mulvihill did. You get these cool pit stop barriers, but pit row carts. Even though they're plastic and they're attached and all that, they still match. They're in scale with the ones that we know from the diecast, and you get the tires too. So I've always thought about disassembling these because, it looks really good. Looks really good. We also got June Faster, the Blinkr hauler for Speedy Comet. Would not mind a re-release of her at some point. I always like the gradient from blue to orange. It is pretty simple, but it works for Blinkr. But guys, that is all I have for this video. Hopefully we find out what the hell Target is up to. I'm just really curious. Like, they're going to have to restock eventually, and it's either going to be case A or B again, or they're just going to skip to case E. And I can affirm case E is different. Like, there is something structurally different to C and D than everything else. There might even be a case at the end of the year that's similar to case C and D. I think maybe M falls into the same thing as C and D, which is a little alarming. It'll be interesting to see how everything works out. This will be a weird year. But hey, we have Dale Earnhardt Jr. out and about to hunt for. I finally found one. I shouldn't even say finally. I feel like I'm one of the first to find him. And that was not, I found it the day I posted that video review of him. It's like, all right, great. And the blister was all smashed. So, of course, I opened the mint one, and the smashed one is the one I found in store. It's like, come on, one day. I actually planned to review Dale on Thursday instead of Tuesday. But I stayed up till 2:30 a.m. I got back from a trip, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to battle through, make this video, get it out as early as possible Tuesday. And it actually ended up biting me in the butt. So it is what it is, but I wanted to get that video out so you guys could see what Metallic Dale is all about. All right, enough rambling from me. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Bye now.